Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the channel. And today I'm going to do my review of Summerslam 1994. Starting off the evening with our first match of the night, it is the Head Shrinkers versus Erwin R. Shyster and Bam Bam Bigelow. Number one, man, I thought it was an okay matchup, back and forth matchup between both teams, with Erwin R. Shyster and Bigelow keeping the pace of the match, with Erwin and Bigelow getting the win by disqualification. Hats off to Erwin R. Shyster and Bigelow for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. It is Bull Nakano versus Alundra Blaze for the WWE Women's Championship. I thought this was a really good matchup, back and forth matchup between both Nakano and Alundra Blaze, with Bull Nakano keeping the pace of the match. Alundra Blaze then hits a devastating German suplex on Bull Nakano, pins her for the 3, and your winner of the match is Alundra Blaze. Hats off to Alundra Blaze for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. It is Diesel versus Razor Ramon for the WWE Intercontinental Championship. Number one, I thought this was a great matchup, back and forth matchup between both Diesel and Razor Ramon, with Diesel keeping the pace of the match. Shawn ends up going for a sweet chin music on Razor Ramon, ends up hitting Diesel instead. Razor then goes for the cover, pins for the 3, and your winner of the match, and at that time, new Intercontinental Champion, is Razor Ramon. A couple things I'll say about this match. Number one, big fan of Razor Ramon. I think Scott Hall's best gimmick to date is Razor Ramon. I mean, Razor Ramon, big fan of Razor Ramon growing up, and even the whole storyline between both Razor Ramon and Shawn Michaels, the legendary ladder match they had, I believe, at WrestleMania 10. Legendary, man. I mean, absolutely legendary. Diesel, again, Kevin Nash. I would say, Diesel was a great character in WWE before he jumped ship to WCW and working under Ted Turner. Diesel was, one of the top dogs for WWE, in my honest opinion. And obviously getting Shawn Michaels involved in this matchup, setting up that sweet chin music, ended up hitting Diesel instead of Razor, allowing Razor to get the win. Just only further pushes the storyline between both possibly Diesel and Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon. So again, hats off to Razor Ramon for getting the win in this matchup, and at that time becoming the new Intercontinental Champion. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. It is Lex Luger versus Tantaka. I thought it was a good matchup, back and forth matchup between both Luger and Tantaka, with Luger keeping the pace of the match. But Tantaka hits a roll-up on Lex Luger, pinning him for the 3, and your winner of the match is Tantaka. Again, hats off to Tantaka for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. It is Jeff Jarrett versus Mabel. I thought it was an okay matchup, back and forth matchup in the beginning between both Jeff Jarrett and Mabel, with Jarrett keeping the pace of the match, with Jarrett ultimately getting the win. Hats off to Jeff Jarrett for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. It is Owen Hart versus Bret Hart for the WWE Championship in a steel cage match. Number one, I thought this was a great matchup, back and forth matchup between both Owen and Bret, but Bret ultimately gets the win in this matchup. A couple of things I'll say about this. Number one, man, what more can I say about Owen Hart? Owen Hart's an absolute legend, completely underrated in my opinion, man. Owen Hart should have been a multi-time world champion, multi-time Intercontinental Champion, but unfortunately we ended up, losing Owen Hart, and rest in peace to Owen Hart, and just a phenomenal legend, man. I mean, the moveset and stuff that he was doing in his career was way before his time, and he kind of brought in the luchador aspect into professional wrestling, moves that we really haven't seen from any other wrestlers at that time, and Owen Hart kind of, personified that and really put it into his moveset in each one of his matches, especially, early on in his career. Even some of the tag matches he had, him tagging up with Yokozuna. I thought that was a great tag team. Him tagging up with Coco Beware. I thought that was a phenomenal tag team as well. And Bret Hart. I mean, the best there ever was. Bret Hart, phenomenal wrestler, phenomenal athlete. Both Owen and Bret, I kind of feel like they both brought the best out of each other when they got in the squared circle and gave the fans a phenomenal matchup. And this match at SummerSlam 1994 is the pure definition of that, man. These guys tore the house down for SummerSlam 1994. But hats off to Bret Hart for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. It is the main event of SummerSlam 1994. It is The Undertaker versus the Fake Taker. This was a Taker that was pretty much created through Ted DiBiase, because it looked like Ted DiBiase originally wanted Undertaker, and Undertaker did not want anything to do with Ted DiBiase at that time. It was an okay matchup. It was a back and forth matchup between both The Undertaker and the Fake Taker, but the real Undertaker was keeping the pace of the match, with the real Taker ultimately hitting his signature Tombstone pile driver, pinning for the 3, and your winner of the match is the real Undertaker. A couple of things I'll say about this match. Number one, I did not like this main event whatsoever. I understand the storyline. Like I said, Ted DiBiase really wanted to work with Undertaker. Undertaker was kind of doing his own thing, which made Ted DiBiase create his own Undertaker. Which the storylines, I mean, that's fine. But the main event, it just wasn't needed. Honestly, Owen and Brett could have main evented this card, and it would have been fine. I feel like this is one of the matches, and not many matches, but one of the matches for Taker that just was not needed at all, man. I mean, it was kind of laughable to watch it. And I don't know who the guy was who, pretty much portrayed the Fake Taker, but it just wasn't needed. I feel like it was sloppy booking. I feel like the main event just was not needed. I could have been completely fine with Owen versus Brett for the WWE Championship in that steel cage match, and that would have been a great main event for SummerSlam 1994, in my honest opinion. But as far as SummerSlam 1994, I always give these shows a rating from 1 out of 10. I'm going to give SummerSlam 1994 a solid 6.5, man. There was a lot of matches on here I could have done without. I definitely think Owen versus Brett for me is the match of the night on here. The main event to me was just trash, man. I don't like the gimmick matches. I don't like when you have the whole, you have Undertaker, which is a phenomenal wrestler, great career, and then you have him up against somebody who's a fake Taker. Just wasn't really a big fan of that, even growing up watching, SummerSlam 1994. It just was not needed. It honestly wasn't needed. But I'm going to have to give SummerSlam 1994 maybe a 6.5 at best. But this is my review of SummerSlam 1994. I hope you guys are out there staying safe. Be careful, and remember, stay classy. Peace.